She's not here. She's not here. She's not here. She's not here. She's not anywhere. She was all I could think of as I ran through the town. I'll never wander off again. From then on, I had pledged to live my life alone. I tried my best not to interact or involve myself with others. I lived hidden away from the public eye. I had no human connections. No friends, no lovers, nowhere to belong. No one knew I existed. No one cared. That's the way it was the year before last. That's the way it was last year. And that's the way it is now. I didn't feel sad about it. To me, it was the status quo. Until I met those nice people, this was just life. I had merely returned to how things always were. But then one person came along and changed everything. They lived together with me, touched me, spoke to me. To me, these things were completely unfathomable and unorthodox. I admit, we wouldn't have lived together if it weren't for the choices I made. But it was only temporary. I wasn't straying from the path. I was using her for my own purposes. To carry out my own little revenge story.
Wait, what?
I spotted Ryoshi entirely by chance. He seemed to be having a fun conversation with a girl I didn't know. 5 years had passed since then, and we'd both grown up, but I knew at once that he was the same guy from back then.
Wait, was he also a kid? Or, like, how... You said he was a man. Like, how much older is our brother than us?
The instant I looked at him, I felt my frozen heart start to thaw. Then all those memories I had never bothered to remember came flooding back. And with it came a new emotion I hadn't felt then. Resentment. I couldn't help but blame the entire grandmother incident on the fact that he had mistaken me for Wolf in the first place. Yes, I knew this resentment was misplaced. I knew it wasn't his fault. I knew who I really ought to blame. But I didn't have any other way to vent this frustration. Like a river, time drifted on, and after months of agonizing over it, eventually I decided to go and talk to Ryoshi for myself. I didn't expect it to solve anything, of course. I was just hoping that it would help me sort out my feelings. But over those few months, Ryoshi had disappeared without a trace, leaving me unable to track him down. All I knew was that he had a younger sister who lived alone in a large mansion.
So you volunteered for this assignment then?
And she was the very girl I had seen him talking to. That was when I formulated a plan. I would anonymously harass her in order to lure her brother out of hiding.
Wait, so you were the wolf the entire time? Then why is our brother kidnapping us? I am so confused. Wait. Who's on first? And what happened to actual Wolf? Did you kill him? Did somebody kill Wolf? Is that why I haven't seen him? He isn't really sick. He's just dead. I have so you were the one who set up this harassment charge, the stalker, so that you could be her bodyguard, freak her out enough that maybe her brother would come to her aid, not counting on the fact that they have a terrible brother-sister relationship and he doesn't actually care about her, so he never showed up. That's why he was always like, even now your family doesn't care about you. Oh, that makes so much sense. I thought he was just... Wow. Okay, but I still don't understand why our brother kidnapped us. Okay.
I thought surely he would have no choice but to take action if one of his family members were in danger. So I tailed her, sent threatening messages to her house, then watched for her reaction. Although she was related to Ryoshi, I never felt any resentment toward her.
Well, I guess that's something.
I may have wanted to frighten her, but I never intended to harm her. Is this just an excuse to feel better about myself? Perhaps. But the point remains, I never wished to do her any harm. Unfortunately, though his sister was in peril, Ryoshi never showed his face. Exasperated, I donned a policeman's garb in order to infiltrate the Arisu house myself.
So you're not even a policeman? Wait. That's illegal. Sir, you're going to jail for all of this. The stuff that you feel guilty about was not actually any kind of crime, but you've committed several crimes to try and get revenge on this guy that it wasn't even his fault either, and you know it's not. And what were you planning to do to him anyway? Were you gonna kill him? Were you gonna beat him up? Take a chomp out of him? Like, what were you gonna do? What kind of plan is this? Oh my goodness.
Why a policeman? I couldn't tell you. Maybe I was attached to the idea of a hero who could fight evildoers and protect the weak. Meanwhile, she accepted me and my deception all too easily. Strange. All at once, the girl I had watched from afar was now right in front of me. I tried everything I could to scare her enough to get her to call her brother over, but it all backfired spectacularly. She seemed to feel safe with me around. She believed me when I said I would protect her. And over time, I realized she was just as isolated as I was. Her family had left her all alone in a giant house in order to pursue their own ambitions. At first glance, she didn't seem that devastated about it, but I knew all too well how she must have felt deep down.
That's why you guys bonded.
I miss you. Over time, I grew to care for her more and more. She was like the sun, bright, warm, and lit up the room wherever she went. She was different from grandmother, different from my friend, and different from my mother, too. She smiled at me. She cooked for me. She touched me. She consoled me. She claimed to love me. In just a few short days, she gave me so much. As I spent more and more time with her, it became harder and harder to breathe, like my chest was in a vice. I felt like I was drowning. There I was, flailing my limbs, desperate to reach the surface. Then she came along, and pulled me up. All along, I had known the significance of this agony. I need you. A long, long time ago, I disobeyed my mother and ventured outside. If only I had obeyed her and kept myself cooped up in that dark house, I never would have made that discovery.
Now listen here. You're not like all the other kids. You're a precious angel. That's why you mustn't play outside. The world is filled with wicked wolves, and you can never trust them. So if one of them talks to you, be sure to ignore them.
I'm sorry, Mother. The truth is, I always yearned to explore the outside world. The temptation of the sunshine led me astray. And then I learned the truth. They weren't wolves at all. No, I was the wolf. And now, just as I yearned for the sunshine then, now I long to be by her side. But she was taken from me, and I was powerless to stop it. At the time, I was frozen in place, my knees quaking in fear. Some sorry excuse for a man I turned out to be. But I can't change who I am. I'm a stupid weakling who dares not trespass into another person's space. I'm no policeman. Eureka! Alone, I whispered her name. Eureka! 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 But no matter how many times I called for her, she never responded. No surprise there, of course. Not like she was around to hear it. I knew all along. I knew the second blackmail letter was intended not for her, but for me.
That's why it didn't match. The second blackmail letter was for you? So did our brother see what was happening? It was like, now the tables are turned. Instead of you using my sister to get to me, I'm using my own sister to get to you. Because I'm a hunter. And he's gonna put him down? Is that what's happening? I still don't know what hunters do, but I feel like this isn't a good thing. So,
Once I infiltrated her house as a policeman, my plan was to end the targeted harassment. But then a mysterious third party took up the reins in my stead, and their threats were steadily escalating. At first I wasn't sure what to do, but eventually I decided I wanted to rescue her from all the fear and uncertainty and loneliness. What an arrogant concept. I don't know what sort of person the wolf truly is. She told me she couldn't think of anything she'd done to court someone's wrath. That was only natural, of course, because she was entirely innocent. If anything, I was the criminal who deserved punishment. And now that punishment has been dealt, in the form of her absence. No crime goes unpunished. And I have committed an unforgivable crime. Thus I deserve retribution. However, I simply cannot abide her taking the brunt of it in my place. So I searched every place I could think of. I had no leads to go off of, so my only hope was to grasp at straws.
dang, what a twist this has turned out to be. So he did take us here, so we're not at the cottage anymore. Okay, why did Eureka... I guess Eureka wouldn't... Well, she was awake for the entire thing, though. Confusion. Is this when we, like, meet all the other guys now? Like, hey, we're still here in this world for 5 seconds.
Sorry to bother you. Is anyone home?
Wait, how did... I'm just not even gonna ask questions anymore. I'm just gonna keep going.
She's not here, you know. How did you know what I was going to ask? Trust me, I know everything.
Okay.
Then tell me, where is she? Why do you want to know? Isn't it obvious? You want to rescue her from the gaping maw of a hungry wolf, is that it? Precisely! Red Riding Hood, you truly are a gullible fool. But surely even you must have figured out the wolf's disguise, correct? No crime goes unpunished. The big bad wolf who tried to eat the girl shall have his belly sliced open, or his maw filled with stones, or perhaps he'll be drowned altogether. Are you sure? If that is the wolf's fate, then so be it. What matters is that I must rescue her from the darkness. She's frightened, and someone ought to help her. Isn't that the hunter's job? You are not a hunter. You are gullible and powerless, with no weapons at your disposal. What can you possibly hope to achieve? I don't know, but... I don't care if I'm gullible. Go ahead and trick me. I just want her to be happy. You truly are a fool. Foolishly honest, to be precise. Or, to put it more kindly, you're sincere. Innocent. Naive, perhaps. Not that you're functionally any different from a thoughtless buffoon. If you're gullible, it means you're readily trusting. You aren't skeptical. I'm guessing that is your best weapon and strongest linchpin. They say no crime goes unpunished. But then again, you know what they say about an eye for an eye. It makes the whole world blind. Listen to me, Red Riding Hood. She's at the lake. Go and rescue her as thanks for all the nice things she did for you, all right? I'm sure she'd appreciate it. Right. Red. Don't go astray again.
Man, Alice really does know everything. But what does that mean? There I was, standing on the lake pier. My hands were tied behind my back, and my captor's arm was around my neck, preventing my escape. Fortunately, he wasn't crushing my windpipe, so I could still breathe just fine. Who was my captor, you ask? I know I just said I'm gonna stop asking questions, but... Okay, I thought you had died. So... Why are you and my brother working together? I mean, I get revenge from your standpoint, for sure. Like, you didn't get to say goodbye to your grandmother before she died. You were drowning and your friend pretended to be you. I get all that. How did you get the hunter on... man. My head's spinning. Okay, none other than our very own wolf. He stared straight ahead, his lips pursed together, unsmiling. It was so unlike his usual demeanor that I could scarcely speak. Red would be here any minute now. And when he arrived, the big, bad wolf was going to gobble him right up. Poor, gullible Red Riding Hood. Please, won't someone save him from the darkness?
Eureka!
Sure enough, he turned up, his face ashen. He must have run around searching the whole town. He was gasping for breath with a pained expression on his face. Red! I shouted in my most anguished voice. Okay. With all this now, I'm like... Eureka has to be in on this as well. With the, like, put on of the anguished voice... And the fact that they... I don't know. I feel... But then why is she in on this? I mean, that would explain why she, like, bought his story right from the beginning. And her, like, kind of being upset and chastising her brother for the broken window. I'm missing key parts, but anyway, I'm suspicious. Almost like I was a princess in a tower. Hold it right there! One step and she dies! His tone was menacing as he pressed a dagger to my cheek. Gah! Reflexively, I jerked away, causing his arm to clamp down tighter around my neck, and I began to struggle.
Stop! Please! I'm begging you!
Ha! Just look at yourself, Red Riding Hood! Not so stoic now, are you? You got my message, right? If you refuse to admit your crime, then I'll kill someone you care about. Remember? Go on, then! If you don't want her to die, then let's hear it!
Okay! I admit it! So please just let her go!
How can I be sure you really mean it?
What do you want me to do? I'll do anything! I'll do whatever you want, so please don't hurt her!
Anything, huh? Well then, let's see you take off that precious Red Riding Hood. Maybe then I could be convinced to let her go.
My riding hood.
What's the matter? Can't do it? I'm only asking you to take it off. But if you really can't...
As he spoke, Wolf dangled me over the lake. Man, boy did get strong.
I'll do it! I'll take it off!
His face drained of color, Red reached up and grabbed the fabric. Then, hands shaking, he slowly but surely lowered his hood. I knew it! I knew you had wolf ears! Oh, this was a great twist. A great twisting on the tail, I gotta say. I love it. Atop his head sat a distinctive pair of ears. Those ears! He hung his head, unwilling to meet my gaze.
What's the matter? Look at me!
At this, he looked up again.
This is your true identity, Red Riding Hood. You're a wolf!
You are correct. In truth, I am nothing so noble as a police officer. Rather, I am a wicked wolf.
His voice shook as he confessed the truth.
That's right. You're a big, bad wolf. And do you know what that means?
Red collapsed to his knees and prostrated himself.
I apologize. I'm very sorry, so please let her go free. It was all my fault. I'm begging you, please forgive her. She has done nothing wrong.
His voice cracked with fear. Nevertheless, he screamed and begged, pleading for my sake. Red. I felt sorry for him.
Tell me, Red Riding Hood, do you know who I am?
What?
If I know you, then it stands to reason you know me too, right?
Well...
You really don't know who I am, Blondie? You impersonated me to go and visit my grandma, remember?
I'll take off my Clark Kent glasses so that you can see who I really am. Using the hand currently holding the dagger, Wolf reached up and pulled off his trademark black-rimmed glasses. Oh, they were trademarked. After a long, long silence, Red whispered,
Wolf, is that you?
That's right. It's me, Wolf!
Red's complexion turned snow white. Oh, Snow White's here too?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry!
Save your breath. All this time and you never realized it was me.
Gah! Well...
Did you forget about me?
No! Of course not! I've always remembered you. Always. I've never once forgotten you. In all my life.
Right. Of course. I never forgot about you either. Nor did I forget what you did that day.
Ugh.
Jerk move, don't you think? I thought of you as a friend and everything. But then you betrayed me. You ran off to go see my sweet grandma and left my ass to drown. And then you had the nerve to impersonate me. What do you think happened after that, huh? How do you think Grandma felt when she found out you lied to her? Huh? Look at you, shaking like a leaf. Don't you realize this is all your fault?
No, I know.
No, you don't! You don't know anything! I looked everywhere for you. I had something I wanted to say to you no matter what. Do you know what I wanted to say? I bet you don't. You always were a total dumbass. No surprise there, though. While everyone else was at school, you were sitting around at the lake by yourself. Poor little baby. But I reached out to you. I played with you. I even invited you to my house. And introduced you to my family. I remember we used to screw around a lot, and Grandma would yell at us. She could be scary, but she was an angel. And we loved her.
Yes.
That's the same riding hood she made you, isn't it? And you still wear it to this day, huh? See, she knew you were self-conscious about your appearance. That's why she made it for you. But then when she fell ill, you decided to trick her.
I'm sorry.
Tell me, why didn't you just tell her who you were?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
There you go again. Look, Blondie, I don't want your apologies.
Then what do you want?
Like I said, acknowledge your crimes.
Gah! But I have acknowledged them, just now.
You really don't get it, do you? Don't get all snippy with me, alright?
Just let her go already! My crimes have nothing to do with her!
Yeah, you may have a point there. Her crimes are entirely separate. Man, you really got it bad for her, huh? What's the story there, anyhow? Did you fall for her because she was nice to you?
Huh?
That's basically how it went with my grandma, right? You'll take anyone as long as they're nice, is that it? You're just starved for attention, aren't you? You replaced the mother who abandoned you with my grandma, and now Arisu here is your new replacement goldfish!
Ugh.
He let out an almost wolfish howl. As his scream rent the air, I grew worried that he might be breaking.
In that case, it doesn't matter if you lose this one. You'll find a replacement sooner or later, right? Just like with my grandma.
That's not true!
He screamed at the top of his lungs. He was consciously denying Wolf's claim of his own volition.
It's not true! It's not true! I admit, I have a weakness for women who treat me with kindness. But there is no replacement for her. Nor for grandmother. Wolf, I regret what I did to your grandmother, and to you. You had everything I lacked, and I envied you.
So you decided to take it for yourself?
No, I never once thought that. Yes, I was jealous of you, but I never intended to deceive anyone.
But you did. You lied.
Yes, that's true. I tricked grandmother and led her to believe I was you. That day, when Ryoshi came and told us she had collapsed, my whole body shook. Our beloved grandmother was usually the picture of health, so I found it all very hard to believe. But Ryoshi grabbed my hand and told me to go. So I left you drowning in the lake and went to her. I should have corrected him. I should have pointed him your way. I knew she was calling for you, not me. And yet, I took advantage of the fact that Ryoshi had us mixed up, and I pretended I was her grandson.
Yup. And then you tried to pin the blame on Mr. Huntsman.
No!
Red shook his head.
No? Then what was that blackmail letter for?
That was... Well... No, you're right. The truth is, I wanted to escape my guilt. But the guilt lies squarely with me. Still, I wanted to believe that I was forced to lie. Forced by Ryoshi. I'm so very sorry!
His voice was watery. He bowed until his forehead pressed against the ground.
Right. If only you hadn't lied, this never would have happened.
Wolf sounded sad, disappointed perhaps. Then he slowly moved the dagger.
No crime goes unpunished. And your punishment is...
Stop! 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 Give her back! Give her back!
Red lunged forward, screaming, desperate to get the dagger away from me.
What? Whoa! Slow down, dude!
Ah! As Wolf stepped back, his foot slipped. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
And that was the last sound he made before the two of us plunged into the lake. And now we're drowning again. The next thing I knew, we were drowning in the watery abyss. The lake was much deeper than I realized, and we were sinking to the bottom. More specifically, Wolf still had his arm around me, inadvertently dragging me down as he struggled and panicked. Well, as I choked, air escaped my lips in big bubbles that rose to the surface. All I could see was blue, and the deeper we sank, the darker it became. I couldn't breathe. I flailed my limbs desperately, but to no avail. My leaden body refused to cooperate, and the light was growing ever more distant. Someone, please help us! I reached out my hand, and Red Riding Hood pulled us up. He saved his friend this time, too, and his girl.